Hello, everybody, and welcome once again on Mad About Sports for yet another live stream. And of course, we are here to talk about the Indian team as it's the World Cup year, and we're just 2 months away from the World Cup. And of course, we had to talk about how Indian team is shaping up because we already did give you a glimpse in a couple of our previous live streams as to the team has been doing well, but how can we compete in the World Cup and possibly get our hands on a silverware after 10 long years? And of course, the World Cup is going to be played at home. So India definitely starts as favorites once again. But as we all know, like it was 4 years ago, India's middle muddle continues. We do not know who our number four and number five for the World Cup are going to be. But of course, we are here to actually have a debate or maybe to talk about who can it possibly be. I have Antrix with me joining back once again. Antrix, great to have you back. How are you doing, and how do you see India lining up this time?
Oh man, I wish I could say I was doing good after yesterday's performance, but I don't know, man. It seems a bit all over the place at the moment, and we Indian cricket team is some of the most like conservative teams out there. But I don't know what happens when it comes to World Cups or these big championships. We become the most non-conservative team ever, and we start shuffling, changing, the order, the batting order, the batting style, the people around. I don't know what's up with this thing. We don't have a middle order. Like we just don't. We have too long of a tail. We heard Virat Kohli last year say that he wants his bowlers to bat, but I guess that only applies to Test cricket as far as the Indian cricket team is concerned, because in ODIs we don't really have a batsman who can, we don't really have a bowler who can bat. So that and we don't have potent all rounders except Hardik Pandya, whose form is on and off. So it's a bit all over the place, man, to be honest. And yeah, it's a bit chilly, it's a bit shaky because remember the World Cup is in India. It's not just a
Yeah,
World Cup; it's a World Cup hosted by us. So man, a lot at
yeah.
stake.
Firstly, hi Manis, great to have you back once again. We
Yeah,
need Kane and Iyer back at all costs. Is what he feels. Pant also, if possible, I don't think Pant is there. Pant is ruled out quite clearly for the World Cup and maybe till
yeah.
the end of the year as well. So maybe for the T20 World Cup next year, let's see if Pant can play or not. But at the moment, for the 50 over World Cup, definitely is ruled out. But let's keep that focus on and let's start our topic because India played three-match ODI series recently against West Indies, where India went on to win 2-1. The first match, India looked quite comfortable. I mean, I would say India experimented quite a lot in that first match, where though
Mm.
India was chasing 119 odd, India had a reverse batting order where India saw Ishan Kishan, Shubman Gill, then you saw everybody else coming at number three, number four, except Rohit and Kohli. So ideally, they decided to rest in the next two matches by saying that well, might as well give the chance to the rest of our players. So starting off with the keeper, right? We'll start out with the Ishan Kishan debate now. Now, for us, we've all seen Ishan Kishan do a great job as an opener, a decent enough job as an opener. Scored three match-winning 50s. That was a man of the series. But if you're going to slot in Ishan Kishan for the World Cup, it's definitely not as an opener. He's going to be batting at number
Exactly.
four. So do you reckon this series did any good to him other than him being maybe shortlisted as a backup opener?
Man, I don't think so. You're just creating troubles for yourself because whatever you say, Ishan Kishan was probably our best performer of the series in terms of the batting
Yeah,
order. I think he was that spark who seemed, who took the series as a series, to be honest. And like he was the one shining armor who I think he scored 350s in the three games
yeah,
he played.
right.
So that's pretty good. But the sad reality is that I don't think India, has the courage to go on and now drop Shubman Gill and actually start Ishan Kishan with the non-droppable, the undroppable Rohit Sharma at
Yeah,
the start of the innings. So, like, what are you
yeah,
trying to achieve here? Like, I don't know. I just don't know. What are you trying to do? It's not football that you're trying to give spare minutes to people who are not. I don't know. And what it really affects more of it is the
yeah,
fact that it dwells us in a problem, which I think is going to be a huge problem, Abel, by the way. And this series absolutely shed light on it that we have been infected by IPL and T20 cricket. It was such a disgrace seeing them perform. Like none of these players. Remember, Abel, we used to watch these games when India used to be, four down in the first 15 overs. Then Suresh Raina and MS Dhoni used to come in. They used to play test cricket for the next 15 overs and then, hit the ballers left, right, and center in the remaining 15, 20 overs. And we used to get to respectable targets. These lots just don't want to play 50 overs. They just want to play it as if it's like a couple of T20 games, and if they could survive, they could. I mean, it's
Yeah.
an absolute disgrace. These guys should be like punished for like just for their attitude. I don't care if they would have scored 100, if Surya Kumar would have gone on and scored 100 in
Yeah.
the second ODI, I wouldn't have cared, because it's not the situation to play a blinder innings. Like, it's a
Yeah.
T20. It was
Mhm.
so disheartening to see the fact that cricket is just going away, at least from these
Yeah.
young Indian lads. So
I mean,
it just, yeah.
that's harsh reality, but that's where we'll start by talking about one of the things which Manish has also pointed out. It is basically the KL Shreyas Iyer, because if you look post
Hmm.
2019 World Cup, India relied heavily on these two players, gave the wicket keeping role to KL Rahul right after the 2019 World Cup. If I remember, the New Zealand series in 2020 is where he actually took over as a keeper. And
Yeah.
there was a clear entrustment on KL Rahul to be India's white ball 50 over keeper, not the T20 keeper,
Yeah.
and Shreyas Iyer to be our number four. And the
Yeah.
numbers also suggest the same. Now, if you look at this, these are staggering numbers which we're talking about, right?
Yeah,
30 innings
man.
by KL Rahul, averages 49. Then, okay, we can talk about KL Rahul's white ball gimmicks or whatever what he does in Test cricket or in T20 cricket away from it. But if you look at KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer, they batted in tandem in many of these occasions. If you remember New Zealand in that particular series I'm talking about, India were 3 down in 10 overs more often than not. They steadied the ship more over there.
Yeah.
Then if you talk about KL Rahul coming in throughout that 3 to 4 years phase, KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer did have a good time as number four, number five for Team India. And that did give India a lot of stability in which India were able to build. But after that, you saw India try out Rishabh Pant there, which I thought was not a bad idea. I really wanted to see how Rishabh Pant went about in one day cricket. You saw fair amount of success there. But once again, now let's rule out Rishabh Pant completely. Now, KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer did play even in that series where India did quite well in that New Zealand series. Okay, India lost the series, but if you look at the England series in 2021, where KL Rahul was India's number five, he did a decent series over there. Then if you talk about India, where India traveled Australia, though India lost the series, KL Rahul played well there. If you look at KL Rahul's numbers as number five, it's quite incredible, to be very honest. And that's why I personally feel it feels maybe unfair, to be honest, to be trying out someone like maybe at this point of stage, someone like a Surya Kumar Yadav or even Ishan Kishan. There, if you look at Ishan Kishan's number there, at number four, as you see, is just 60. Is just 21. His average is 6 innings, and his strike rate even drops down to 67. Rishabh Pant had a decent run there. He scored 100 there in the last match he played there. But Shreyas Iyer has been phenomenal. Surya Kumar Yadav hasn't really cracked anything at this point of stage one day cricket. So a lot of questions. You have a Sanju Samson there who's got a brilliant 50. He's very fearless, as you all know, and maybe reckless at times as well. But if you ask me, if, as you all know, the news also came out yesterday that Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul are not going to be there for Asia Cup. So on what confidence do you take them for World Cup?
Exactly, and I think the confidence part which plays into their hands is the fact that it's a shambles. If not them, then who? It's that kind of a situation right now, because
But Antariksh, let me know this. I know these both were the best players. Do they get a lateral entry just based on the names and the form they had in the past? Because they both were totally
see
underconfident prior to this particular injury they had.
See, that's what I'm saying. Had we had many better options, had we had a surplus of people who were scoring tons of runs and giving us confidence, I would have been the first one to say, well, do you really put them on just on names, or do you actually look at the merit as well? But the fact that we're barely struggling to, survive 50 overs against a team who's not even going to be in the World Cup, to be honest. So that tells volumes. Imagine, these memes floating around the internet. A fast-paced left-handed swing bowler. How are they going to face him? Whoever it might be someone from Pakistan or someone from England or Australia Stark. Who knows, man? Who knows? It would be Trent Bolt or something. I am dead scared of what's going to happen. Seeing Rohit and Kohli how they're going, forget them for now. For now, like, they're not the old of the कि ये दोनों तो संभाल लेंगे. Let's see, बाकियों की तो बैटिंग ही नहीं आएगी. It's not that zone anymore.
Yeah.
Probably imagine them getting out in the first 10 overs. I am scared, man.
Yeah,
We have a
but let me just
T20
add
right
to
now.
that. This is the exact attitude why we lost last 8 of our ICC trophies. Rohit or Kohli संभाल लेंगे. मतलब
Exactly.
you relied on them so much on that big day. They both failed, and everybody started looking at each other. Who's going to do it for us right now? Now
Man,
that is
you,
why
you
we
you
wanted to
can't
correct
go in
it.
a World Cup. You can't go in a World Cup with Surya Kumar, Ishan Kishan, and Hardik Pandya as your middle order. You just can't. There has to be a ship stabilizer. Like, you're talking, you're supposedly giving the Asian Games ka captaincy to Ruturaj. You're captaining him for, Ireland. Give him the chance. Give him the chance right now. You want to try out a new opener. Yashasvi Jaiswal beta hai. Bring him in. Bring him in right now as an opener, as an alternative opener, and keep playing Kishan as number 4. You're switching him up again. आप उसको opening पे डाल रहे हो. Then you'll
Yeah.
actually want him to bat at 4.
Yeah.
If you actually have no options at 4, then keep playing Kishan at 4.
Yeah.
We have such a long tail. Do you
But tell me this, Antariksh, does Ishan give you any confidence to be walking in at number 4 if you are
No, he
10 for
doesn't.
2 and
Exactly,
do
no,
it
he
well?
doesn't. But अगर हमारे पास कोई option नहीं है, and we have to play him at number 4, then we only have 7 to 8 ODIs remaining till the World Cup starts. So if I don't want him to be number 4, he doesn't fill me with confidence. But अगर हमारे पास कोई option ही नहीं है, then the best thing to do right now is keep playing him at number 4.
Yeah.
And I say the same with, of course, we're here to discuss the batting woes, but you're really gonna go without Jadeja and Ashwin into a World Cup in India? Are you really? And if not, then play them.
But is that really Jadeja is definitely there. That's for sure.
So then play
Jadeja
him,
plays number
because
7.
he brings in stability and balance to that squad. Because I just saw like Mukesh Kumar, Kuldeep Yadav, and all of this tail getting exposed after number 5, number 6 was just too much. So that's what I mean. Akshar Patel, I don't think he's going to be there with Kulcha, with Ashwin, with Jadeja. I'm so sorry. It's not the right time to experiment anymore. You're 7 ODIs away from a World Cup.
Yeah. Possibly, yeah. We're just 7 ODIs away from the World Cup. You're right in pointing that out. And that's very scary because in 7 ODIs, you have to really fix the starting 11. Now, that's where my thoughts or my, everything would shift on to another player, the Sanju Samson. He's got a limited amount of opportunities in one-day cricket, but if you look at his numbers in one-day cricket, it's pretty staggering. And let's talk about him because you are playing him in T20 cricket in a position. For example, yesterday's game, he played number 6. He has never played number 6 in his entire career. And you try him out as a finisher all of a sudden at this point of stage in his career, which is quite illogical for me. In ODIs, he averages 55. He has got a strike rate of 104. And they are on the flip side, you're talking about Surya Kumar Yadav. He's been getting fair amount of chances, but you think at this point of stage, his rope is actually running out, Surya Kumar Yadav, because if you look at Surya Kumar Yadav in one-day cricket, if you look at the numbers, it's very, very underwhelming. His average is 23. I scored 476 runs in 25 matches. Now, if you're telling me he deserves to go after these kind of performance, you still back him because there's something about him. But these are so many number of failures to really back a player and not to select a player like Sanju Samson there.
Exactly, man. And this is, again, that's what I'm saying, Abel. This is the sad reality. We are sort of turning this into a glamorous, I don't know, cricket is just quickly becoming a glamour sport because of all the money. He scores hundreds in T20s and, he gets those fast runs. So you just keep him for that one game. He might play a T20 innings in and he might get you a 115, 80 balls. And that's what you're, putting your money on. But sadly, that just isn't how ODIs and, the longer formats of the game are played. I think, as I said, you're quote unquote trusting Ruturaj, you're trying to build in a leader in him. I think he shows the potential to be what an ODI player is. Like, it doesn't take a cricket selector. Like you can see with the technique, people hit sixes. There's a 6 over the covers, and then there's a 6, a Surya Kumar 6. So I think not just judging purely on their techniques, but if I had to prefer one in the ODI for a longer run, I would prefer the one who's got a better cricketing technique. Sure, you'd want a player or two in your team who could whack around in every area of the park. But I think we have got that covered. Even if you want Surya, maybe at 6 or maybe at 7 or with Hardik Pandya and Jadeja. But if you want someone like a stabilizer, even Rinku Singh has shown in his earlier stints, of course, everyone notices this time. But me being a KKR fan, I have seen him, stabilizing the ship for KKR. And I've seen him for Uttar Pradesh, not exactly seen him live.
Yeah, he walks in all the tough situations.
He knows how to build an innings. Like, he is a proper player when you want one. You trust him, you go there. You go with Rituraj. You maybe, as you said, you go with Sanju Samson maybe. Exactly. He always remains that what-if player. You give him a chance in T20, that to it.
I really don't get what is there for what if in Sanju Samson when he's averaging 55 in one-day cricket. I mean, he's got the highest number of He's got the highest average in the team in terms of middle order bats in the last few years. And you still want to prefer Ishan Kishan at number 4? Doesn't make sense. You're not giving Sanju Samson keeping. Now Sanju Samson will primarily play as a batter. That also, if Surya Kumar Yadav fails in the Ireland series in the one dayers, and if Surya Kumar Yadav doesn't do really well in the Asia Cup. Now let's talk about Asia Cup because that is the next big tournament before the World Cup, and because if India does well in the Asia Cup, then of course that you're heading into a World Cup with a tournament success, which India did not have in the T20 World Cup. We lost the Asia
Yeah.
Cup quite badly, and then we went to the World Cup in the last year. So if this time in Asia Cup, Surya Kumar Yadav fails miserably, and Ishan Kishan cannot play at number 4, now what does India do? Does India really press the alarm bells at that point of stage and look at like, oh wow, wait, we got World Cup in a week's time. Now we got to bring Sanju Samson, Shreyas Iyer, and KL out of NCA, and that's an absolute mess.
That's what I'm saying. I think India are too into trouble to be, there's no courage. Can you tell me a world wherein India would go without Surya Kumar Yadav? And that's because of the hype. That's because of the unfortunate glamour which we judge people upon now. I don't know, man. Where is this coming from, and how? Like what are the options for India now? They just can't do it because now suddenly would they drop him for the Ireland series or the Asia Cup? I don't think that's gonna happen. And if that doesn't happen, he's certainly not getting dropped for the World Cup. So man, we're in bit of a muddle. All we can hope and pray is that our two guys, KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer, come back as soon as possible, and just
But that's my point, Antariksh. Even if they come back at a stage,
what is the
how are they
guarantee?
going to fit in? If they are not in
Yeah,
form, what's the point of taking them? I mean, we've all known
exactly.
about past record. These both are coming after major injuries. Both have had to undergo surgeries, and it's never easy to come back and score runs in international cricket. It's not an easy ball game. So even if they come back, they'll have to get enough match practice before the World Cup. And if you're going to make a lateral entry and you're going to say, oh, against Australia in the first match, let's see how they go about, that's way too much of a risk at this point of stage. Why don't
It
we
is.
really sort out our middle order, at least from the Irish series or at least from the Asia Cup and the Australian series right before the World Cup, right before the Australian game on October 8th, we're going to play Australia for a 3-match series. You have to play your starting 11 for the World Cup there. That's the only way to understand how we're going to go and play in the World Cup.
Absolutely. I think for me the batting order starts down the line because the top three still picks itself. But what I mean is, you get Ashwin or Jadeja, whoever you're trusting
I
once
think
and
that is for
finally.
sure. Ashwin is totally out
Yeah,
of the fray.
that's what I'm saying. I actually don't go with it with the fact that we are sort of less outnumbered in terms of all rounders. I think I don't know, man. Whatever choices India has made of Ashwin, but you go a World Cup in India without Ashwin while you don't really have all
I think that's
rounders.
that's also unfair on someone like a Kuldeep Yadav who's done phenomenally well. I mean, he's been
Of course,
just pick up the
see,
ball.
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you pick him as a starter or something. All I'm saying is if he's in the squad and maybe you want someone who can bat a bit and stuff. See, it's not really about Ashwin. What I'm really trying to say here is you set your lower middle order right and then work from there. Because what I mean is once you get Jadeja in, once you get Hardik Pandya in, then that is almost two bowlers for you done. And then if you want to play another spinner, there is Aksar Patel, and that is then three bowlers done. And then you might play with two bowlers or three more bowlers, but at least you'll have three people who can bowl and bat. So that will be that. And then you
But
can work
Ankush,
your way
don't you
up.
reckon there has been a clear favoritism towards Shardul Thakur here? Now, I don't know if Shardul is going to start in some of the turning pitches, but whatever he's done with the ball, he's been the second leading wicket taker in all across the cricket since 2019 World Cup, and that's a glaring stat to even have. I know he picks up some rubbish wickets here and there, but he's still a potent wicket taker. He
It
picks up
does,
wickets,
yeah.
breaks partnerships, and he is quite comfortable with the bat. You expect him to come and play one of those knocks, maybe a 20 of 10 balls, which might be quite
Yeah.
a match-winning one if you look at these kind of high-scoring games what you get in India.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And he's someone who can bring immense balance to the squad yet again. Imagine if we have a world wherein we have four people who can bowl and bat. I think what better than that? That Jadeja is someone who somehow now by playing a lot of cricket knows how to stabilize the ship. Then you would have Hardik Pandya. So like you start to build the confidence from there because unfortunately, whatever the caliber of the players, you can't go into a World Cup with a batting lineup with 4 people who've played less than 50 games for your country. That's just too risky. And that is poor management from a board which is 1.5 billion of a population, that funds ICC 75 to 80% of their total funds. That has IPL, that has probably the most prolific domestic cricket
Yeah,
circuit. That's just a shame. And plus, we are the host country, to be honest.
yeah,
So,
and that's
man,
where this comment makes a lot of sense as well.
exactly. See, there you go. Venkatesh Prasad, it's no ordinary man, man. So yeah, despite the money and power, we've become used to celebrating mediocrity, and are far from how champion sides are. He's absolutely spot on, and that is my fear. It's not even about what the players are doing. It's just Ishan Kishan, Shubman Gill, Sanju Samson, all of these lot. They've इनका combined 100 ODIs नहीं है यार. They surely can't go. It's not 2007 T20 World Cup. You pick a bunch of kids and then Dhoni wins you the World Cup. It's not that. It's an ODI World Cup 2023. You're the host nation. You want specialists. You want people who have been there, done
Hmm.
that. Unfortunately, it's like हमने टेस्ट की तैयारी एक दिन पहले से start की है, and now we can only
Hmm.
cry about the fact that we didn't study earlier. But man, what's
Yeah.
gone is gone. But that's what I'm saying.
I
Seven
mean, just
ODIs.
you had 4 years. I understand two injuries has really derailed Team India to a larger extent.
It
But you had
shouldn't.
four
It
years and you
shouldn't.
still can't prepare for the worst possible consequence. I mean, you don't learn from your mistakes. I mean, last time around, just for the World Cup, you picked up Vijay Shankar as your number four. He went on to play number four for India for 3 matches. Then he gets injured. Then you bring Rishabh Pant as number four. Then you put KL at top, who was the starter number four
Yeah.
in the World Cup. When Dhawan got injured, you pushed KL up. Then you put Rishabh there. In the New Zealand game, you had everywhere and everyone. You had Dinesh Karthik play. You had Rishabh Pant play. There was no clarity whatsoever. Now that's something which we feared, and that's exactly what happened. Now once again, we're going back to that same old route where on that particular day, if you do not have an experienced player, maybe let's say a player who was possibly of a caliber of a KL Rahul who was done there. In the last few years, he's been the best player for Team India in terms of middle order bats because he's been put under pressure. If you look at Australia series, which India played like a few months ago, right before the IPL, where he walked into bat in some of the situation. I remember the one day in Mumbai where he walked into bat when India were in trouble. In power play,
Yeah.
India were 3 down. He walked into bat
Yeah.
and he stabilized the ship and he took India over the line. Even in one of the matches against Sri Lanka in January, where India were in trouble chasing 209, you really were able to do that. Now, KL Rahul was India's best bet there. And now for me, he doesn't give me the confidence at this point of stage to really walk into this team. He's just like, naam kiya hai to usko khelne do.
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't think that's how it should be done. It's not fair on any other players. I don't know why Bumrah was named the captain in Irish series personally for me because everybody deserves to earn their stripes. Because he's Bumrah, he got the captaincy. That's not fair. So that's similar thoughts for me as well. Now, final thoughts. What would be your ideal batting order look like for you personally?
I mean, it's like it's a tough one because of course there'll be Rohit and Shubman who start. By the way, I was gonna say, of course Shubman Gill scored those wonderful runs and stuff, but I'm missing Dhawan, man. If there was someone who was experienced enough who could start the innings, and then maybe Shubman would have jumped on to number four. But again, it's a what if now, and that can't Dhawan can't make an entry. Shubman can't leave his opening position. So I think it has to be Shubman and Rohit that start with Kohli, of course, and then at number four I'd have to go with KL Rahul because I can't see with Ishan Kishan and stuff going on, and I think it has to be
KL
yeah,
Rahul also keeps.
yeah. I maybe I think we'd have to because I don't know, man. I also want to include Ruturaj Gaikwad, but I haven't seen much of him because I just want ODI players in my ODI team,
To
man.
me,
I
like in
don't want to
Ruturaj
go.
Gaikwad in international cricket so far has been such a disappointment because he scored 150 in the 12 innings he's played in international cricket, and that's even
Exactly.
for Africa in the T20, and it's been very disappointing. I mean, let's put him out completely. But
Yeah.
what would be your ideal team in terms of the shortlisted players we have right now?
Yeah. So I think that goes with that with two in it. Like a two down would be Shami KL Rahul, and then three down. I'd love to see Sanju Samson. He's
Yeah,
he's someone who's probably a mix of someone who can be explosive as well as someone who could actually be conservative when it needs to be. And then I think 4 down will be perfect for Surya Kumar Yadav.
Yeah.
I think that is that. Kishan could also play a role there, but I don't see India going without Surya Kumar Yadav. I just don't. So
But then where does Hardik and Jadeja play? Because I personally think it is going to be a slash between Surya and Sanju. If Sanju
yeah,
gets the nod ahead, then Surya sits out. Then which means
yeah,
Hardik bats at number 6, Jadeja at 7. But Hardik likes batting at number 5 these days. Now that's the
yeah,
reason why even in yesterday's game, I was pretty baffled at the fact that Hardik walked out ahead of Sanju Samson. Now Sanju
Hmm.
Samson's entry point, I was looking around the stat. Sanju Samson's entry point has been 5 overs mark in T20 cricket. Now even if you look at one-day cricket, he has to bat at number 5 at the least. Now you're
yeah.
gonna make him bat at number 6 for your team. That's like asking a player to go and do something which he possibly cannot do, which is finishing.
See,
Hardik and Jadeja should bat 6, 7, then Sanju at 5, and what you said about KL Rahul at 4 makes a lot of sense for me. But if KL Rahul is not fit, I have to pick.
see, but that's the thing,
Hardik.
if you have Hardik at 6, then Jadeja at 7. That's just too long of a tail because the problem with our ballers is
No,
no
then
one
I'm talking
bat.
about then Shardul at 8. Then
All right.
I would like to see how.
That's still
Uh,
better. Maybe if you could have, Akshar Patel. I don't know if Jadeja and Akshar Patel both would play. I don't think so. So that goes out of the window. I think it'll be Shardul at 8 then. And then the ballers, whatever goes in.
Kuldeep,
So,
Siraj, and Bumrah ideally, or else Kuldeep, Siraj,
yeah,
and Shami if Bumrah is
yeah,
not fit yet.
yeah, yeah. See, yeah, man, I just think that, oh, man, I just am a bit
A lot of
baffled because.
confusion. I mean, we thought we could find answers in this stream, and we are left confused ourselves because that's how
No,
Indian team has
because
been.
there are no definitive answers. As they say, don't cry about the problems, get to the answers. But we have to cry about the problems because it's not us who caused the problems. And I get the fact, of course, one could
The only way
sympathize, but
that's why you can blame Dravid straight away. I mean, if you talk about Rahul Dravid, whatever he's done at junior levels, whatever he's done at grassroots levels, great as a coach. But as a planner, as a visionary, I personally think he's failed in multiple fronts. Okay, for
oh,
example,
he
you picked
has.
up Ashwin's name. Last year, Ashwin gets a lateral entry into the World Cup. He was not even part of the Asia Cup, but he comes into the World Cup saying that he's going to be balling in Australia. Now, that did not make any sense to me. I understand if the World Cup was in Sri Lanka or West Indies or even in subcontinent, Ashwin gets that entry. But then in Australia, you're like, Ashwin gets that because he can bat a bit. You dropped Chehel when you did not want him to be dropped. You had a lot of confusions here and there, and you picked up KL Rahul straight out of injury last year once again. He had a mess of a World Cup. No clarity in terms of what you wanted Dinesh Karthik to do. Rahul Dravid as a coach, how would you rate him? I mean, I
Oh
personally
no,
think
I think it's been a complete failure as of now. He's not even been 10% of what Ravi Shastri was, for us in terms of success and intent. Of course, to be honest,
even in
Ravi
Test cricket,
Shastri.
same thing. He's been
Yeah,
a
yeah,
failure.
well, for sure. Test cricket dominates that for sure. But that's what I'm saying, of course, he couldn't get that ICC trophy wala feather cap, feather into his cap, did Shastri or even Kohli for that matter. But Dravid, I think we just have lacked direction, which is the most important
Yeah,
thing for me, which is the
clarity.
thing to be noted. Yeah, clarity, direction, vision. There has been none. And for someone who is known for being a
Pretty small
visionary,
bit there. But nonetheless, as Antarix rightly pointed out, in terms of how
yeah,
the team lacked direction, I personally think the same as well. Uh, the team definitely does lack a lot of direction, does lack a blueprint. Like I think Antarix, you'll also agree with me. The blueprint is missing from this team by a
yeah.
long margin, and you cannot have a leadership without blueprint. I mean, I don't blame Rohit Sharma particularly, but I think it's a cumulative effort from the bowling coach, from the management, from the batting coach,
See,
everybody
see, of
together.
course. See, of course, that's what I'm saying. Like we sort of sympathize here that you three of your pillars are out suddenly, and of course you didn't expect them to be, and that is where you might have thought that we have the Kishans and the Samsons and the Shubmans of this world, and if one of them, even one or two, get injured, they can replace them. But suddenly, आपके तीन स्तंभ गायब हो जाते हैं. Three pillars are out of your team, so then you're left pretty sort of naked there. But that is my point. It's the biggest cricketing board, and it's not as if they've been injured yesterday. Now it's been almost a year since these three have been injured. Not a year, maybe 6-7 months, I'd say.
Yeah,
Rishabh Pant,
Bumrah
it's
at
been
least in a
more.
year now.
Yeah. So you work your way around it. you're the Indian cricket team. You take off things. You bring in players. You schedule sort of tournaments, or you get to
Yeah,
practice games, India A games, domestic circuit. You play them.
yeah,
You order them around because it's the World Cup. It's not any
yeah,
series or any IPL
yeah,
that you're preparing for.
yeah.
That's my point.
I mean, it's a systematic failure, Antariksh. I mean, let's talk about NCA as well, just before we end the live. You rushed Bumrah last year just to play T20 World Cup. He got injured, raptured again, went to get the surgery. Absolutely nonsense from the team management to even rush him. If you knew he was not going to be fit, I had no clarity whatsoever, rushed him into it and got the worst possible injury. Shreyas Iyer carried that back injury for last 4 to 5 months. Then in the end, you were like, he'll play the World Cup without getting a surgery. Ultimately, you had to get a surgery done right before WTC and the IPL because you had to take a call because it was out of hands. You kept hiding things. There was no clarity. I don't know why people are sent to NCA. Whoever has been sent to NCA has never recovered properly. They've got captured. Then people talk about Hardik Pandya having a personal trainer. There's something definitely wrong in NCA. Or else people won't keep a personal trainer for themselves because there
Yeah.
is no clarity with the team. There is no cohesion in terms of what VVS Lakshman is looking in NCA and what Dravid is doing in the team. You're making Bumrah play an under 19 Mumbai game recently for no use whatsoever. There is no clarity as to where Bumrah stands. You release statements once in a while to let us know what is happening, but it does not make any sense. There is no clarity, there is no progress, and you're just going back in time. And that's why I think Dravid's tenure has to be possibly one of the worst since his captaincy in 2007. That's where India have been right now.
Yeah. Yeah, man, absolutely. So Dravid and leadership maybe don't go hand in hand that much, but let's hope, man. Let's hope. For once, let's see Jadeja, Siraj, the people who are constant now, the people who are going to be there. Let them be in the frame as much as possible now. You can't be scared now or injured ho jayega. Let's keep them. No, you can't do that. If they have to be injured, they'll be injured, man. They will be injured. You can't hide players anymore. You
It's
can't
better to
rest them.
not have them injured in the middle of the World Cup at least. That's going to be even worse.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. So you have to go on. You have to keep the constants with you. You need to have a core group of 8 to 9 players at least. At least you should have your 11 sorted by now. But if not that, 8, 9 players constantly playing, growing together, watching each other, complementing each other. That's how you build up to the World Cup, and that's what I'm saying. Asia Cup, hopefully, we do well. And if don't win it, yeah, don't win it. Don't win it, but at least have a constant 11. Show us cohesion, show us some direction and strength that you can play. India may our World Cup. That's what we both are very sort of wary about. That we don't want to be knocked out of the first round or stuff
Yeah.
like that in our own homes, man.
Yeah, that's even worse. So hopefully India repeats what happened in 2011. So far,
Yeah.
the home teams have definitely had the advantage since 2011. All the home countries have won it, which includes India, Australia, and England. And hopefully it doesn't run out, it just continues. Thank you once again, Antariksh, and thank you everybody for joining the stream. It was a good discussion. We've not been able to find a lot of answers, but definitely we've found a lot more questions. And if we can continue this, maybe by the time of Asia Cup, at least we can find a lot more answers. Let's see, because
Yeah.
Indian cricket at this point of stage at least has got no clarity. Then what do you expect us to have? So that's where I'll end this stream. Thank you once again, and do not forget to check out our courses with Marabout Sports. The link is there down in the description. And also, if you're new here, do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Also, do give a follow on to our Instagram page, and we'll be here, updating you with latest news and bringing you some exciting content on the way. Thank you once again. Have a good time, all of you.